When people talk about cheating, they picture lipstick on a collar or messages on a phone. My husband's betrayal didn't come like that. It rang my doorbell on a quiet Sunday afternoon and stared at me with his eyes on a little boy's face. My name is Emily, and for 8 years I thought I was happily married to Daniel. We weren't perfect, but we were stable. We had a small house with a blue door, matching coffee mugs, a shared Netflix account, and a plan. Pay off the mortgage, take a big trip one day, have a baby when the time felt right. We were already trying, or at least I thought we were. Daniel worked in sales and traveled a lot, late meetings, client dinners, urgent trips that always popped up at the worst moment. I didn't like it, but I trusted him. He always came back with a little souvenir and a tired smile. I collected magnets on the fridge like proof that he belonged to me. The first warning sign was small. One night he fell asleep on the couch, phone in his hand. It buzzed. I glanced over automatically. "Did you tell her yet?" "No name, just a number." My stomach twisted. I told myself it was work. Maybe a client, maybe a colleague. I didn't open it. I placed the phone on the table and pretended I hadn't seen anything. I still wonder how different my life would be if I'd looked. 2 weeks later, the doorbell rang while Daniel was at a client lunch. I opened the door in sweatpants and a messy bun, expecting a delivery. Instead, there was a woman about my age, soaked from the rain, eyes red but determined. Next to her stood a little boy, maybe 6, clutching a backpack. He had Daniel's eyes, same color, same shape, same way the corners tilted when he looked up. "Can I help you?" I asked, even though some part of me already knew she wasn't lost. "Are you Emily?" she asked. "Yes." She took a shaking breath. "My name is Laura. I think we need to talk. It's about Daniel." My first instinct was to close the door, to protect myself from whatever truth she had carried through the rain. Instead, I stepped aside. "Come in. I made tea because that's what you do when your world is about to fall apart. You cling to small routines to stop your hands from shaking." We sat at the kitchen table. The boy swung his feet under the chair, eyes moving between us, confused but quiet. Laura didn't waste time. "I've been with Daniel for 7 years, she said. "This is our son, Leo." The words landed slowly, like bricks dropping one by one onto my chest. 7 years. I'd been married to Daniel for 8. "I didn't know about you," she added quickly. "He told me he was divorced, that his ex-wife kept the house. I believed him. I had no reason not to." My voice didn't sound like mine when I finally spoke. "Why are you here?" She slid a folded paper across the table. "Because yesterday he told me he was traveling for work again. He left his jacket on a chair. Leo found this in the pocket." I opened it with numb fingers. It was an email printout from our fertility clinic. Appointment confirmation for next week. My name, Daniel's name, date, time. My throat tightened. "I thought he was cheating on me with someone new," Laura said, her eyes shining. "I didn't know the someone new was actually his wife." Leo shifted in his chair. "Mom," he whispered. "It's okay, sweetheart," she murmured. The rain beat against the windows, loud and relentless. "How did you find me?" I asked. "I called the clinic," she said. "Pretended to be you, said I moved and needed to confirm my address. They read it out loud." She glanced around the kitchen. "So, here I am." I stared at her, at Leo, at the life my husband had built parallel to mine like a hidden road. 7 years, birthdays, holidays, first steps, first words, all happening while I waited for my period to be late. The front door opened. "Babe, you won't believe this client." Daniel stopped in the doorway when he saw us. His eyes jumped from me to Laura to Leo. Every drop of color drained from his face. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then he said the sentence every guilty man eventually says, I can explain. I stood up slowly. My chair scraped against the floor. Which part? I asked. The part where you married me. Or the part where you started another life and had a child. Or the part where you booked a fertility appointment with your wife while lying to the woman you told was your wife. Emily, please, he stammered. I never meant for it to get this far. I laughed, a harsh sound that made Leo flinch. I softened my face immediately and looked at the boy. Leo, do you like cartoons? I asked gently. He nodded. There are some in the living room, I said. You can watch while we talk. He looked to Laura for permission. She nodded, and he slipped off the chair and disappeared down the hallway. Silence dropped like a curtain. You lied to both of us, Laura said quietly. You looked me in the eyes and told me you were divorced. Daniel rubbed his face, pacing in a tight circle. I was going to end it, he snapped. With you, Laura. I just needed time. I felt something inside me break at the ease with which he divided us into categories, one to discard, one to keep. So I'm the upgrade, I asked. The wife with the house and the blue front door. And what is she then? The practice round, the backup plan. That's not what I... Do you love her? I interrupted. He hesitated. It was small, barely a pause, but it was enough. Do you love me? I asked. Another pause. There was my answer. I walked to the hallway closet, pulled out a suitcase, and dropped it by his feet. Get out, I said. His head snapped up. What? You heard me. Pack your things and get out. This is my house too, he said, desperate now. You can't just... This was our house, I corrected. You turned it into a lie. I won't live in your lie anymore. Laura stood, her voice low but firm. Daniel, I'm done too. I won't raise Leo around someone who pretends his son is a secret. He looked between us like a man watching a door close in slow motion, knowing he had locked it himself. You're both being dramatic, he muttered. No, I said quietly. We're finally being honest. He left that evening with a single suitcase and a box of things he insisted were important. I let him have it all. He'd already taken what mattered most, my trust, my plans, the version of my life I thought was real. In the weeks that followed, there were lawyers, messages, apologies that sounded more like excuses. He wanted to work things out, to find a way, to stay friends. I refused, but something unexpected happened. Laura and I kept talking. At first it was practical, information, dates, documents. Then it became more than that. Two women comparing scars from the same wound. We met for coffee without him. Sometimes Leo came along and told me about school, about his favorite games, about how he could almost ride his bike without training wheels. One afternoon he hugged me goodbye and said, I'm glad you're not mad at me. My chest ached. I could never be mad at you, I told him. None of this is your fault. Daniel had called what we were doing ganging up on him. I called it survival. People ask why I didn't hate Laura. The truth is simple. She was just another version of me, sitting at a different table, drinking different coffee, believing the same lies. One man, two lives, three broken hearts. But time passed. Papers were signed. The house became mine legally, but it finally felt like mine emotionally the day I took our wedding photo off the wall and filled the empty space with a picture of myself, alone, smiling. Not because I was over it, not because I wasn't still healing, but because that smile was real. Daniel lost two women and a child who would one day understand exactly what his father had done. I lost the illusion of a perfect marriage. But I gained something he never had, a life built on truth. He never chose me. He never chose Laura. He only ever chose himself. Now, for the first time, I choose me too.